Have you ever felt overwhelmed by stress? Let's dive into the life of a girl who knows this feeling all too well. Picture her each day a balancing act teetering on the brink of chaos. She is like a juggler, tossing up the spheres of school, work, relationships, and her own personal expectations. Each one is a source of tension, demanding her time, her energy, her attention. Imagine the strain of school, the constant pressure of deadlines, exams, projects, and homework. It's the race against time, a never-ending marathon. It's the fear of falling behind, of not being good enough, of not living up to the expectations. Now, add to that the grind of work, the hustle and bustle, the early mornings and late nights, the struggle to prove herself, to climb the ladder, to make a difference. It's the challenge of balancing professional demands with personal needs, of finding fulfillment amidst the chaos. And then there are relationships, the dance of connection and disconnection, of closeness and distance. It's the joy and the heartache, the laughter and the tears. It's the complexity of human interaction, the push and pull, the give and take. Last but not least, there are her own personal expectations, the dreams she's chasing, the goals she's set, the standards she's created. It's the desire to be the best, to do the best, to give the best. It's the constant striving, the relentless pursuit, the unyielding drive. Each of these spheres spins in its own orbit, sometimes colliding, sometimes spinning out of control. Each one adds to the weight she carries, the stress she feels. Each one is a piece of the puzzle that makes up her life. And as she juggles these spheres, as she navigates through the chaos, the stress builds. It's like an invisible backpack, growing heavier with each passing day. It's a burden that she carries, often silently, often alone. The weight of the world seemed to rest on her shoulders. Everyone has a breaking point, don't they? It's that moment when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear and the walls seem to be closing in. This was the breaking point for our young protagonist. The mounting pressure from schoolwork, the expectations from her family, the constant comparison to her peers, it all became too much for her to handle. Imagine the feeling of 1,000 thoughts racing through your mind, each one louder and more demanding than the last. The incessant chatter of worries and what-ifs would keep her up well into the night. Sleep, once a safe haven, had now become a battleground of anxiety and restlessness. Then there were the panic attacks. They would strike unannounced, like a bolt of lightning on a clear day. Her heart would pound like a drum in her chest, her breath would come in quick, shallow gasps, and an icy dread would grip her. It was as if she was on a roller coaster that only went down, and she couldn't find the emergency stop button. And amidst the physical turmoil, there were the emotional effects. She felt a creeping sense of hopelessness, like she was trapped in a maze with no exit. It was as if she was looking at life through a foggy window, unable to see the brightness of the day or the beauty of the stars at night. Everything felt grey, muted and distant. She felt like she was drowning in a sea of stress, with wave after wave crashing over her. The joy and excitement of life had been replaced by an overwhelming sense of dread. She was at the mercy of her stress, and it seemed as if there was no escape. But remember, every storm has an eye, a calm center. And even in the most violent tempest, there is a chance to catch your breath, to find your footing, and to prepare for what comes next. For her, the storm was at its peak. It seemed as if the storm would never pass. Yet even in the midst of despair, a beacon of hope shines. Our protagonist, weighed down by the relentless waves of stress, decided to take a step that many of us hesitate to take. She decided to seek help. It's not always easy to admit that we're struggling and need assistance, but it's a crucial part of the journey towards better mental health. She began by reaching out to her friends, those who had stood by her side through thick and thin. They listened, they empathized, and they offered their support. It was in these conversations that she found a space to vent, to express her fears and frustrations, and to feel understood. The power of a listening ear, a comforting word, cannot be underestimated. Next, she turned to her family. While it can sometimes be challenging to open up to those closest to us, she found that her family provided a safe haven, a sanctuary of unconditional love and understanding. They might not have had all the answers, but their unwavering support was a balm to her troubled heart. However, recognizing that professional guidance could provide her with the tools to better manage her stress, she took the step to consult with a counselor. It's important to remember that mental health professionals are there to help us navigate these rough waters. They offer strategies and coping mechanisms that can make all the difference. This part of her journey wasn't easy. It required courage, vulnerability, and a steadfast determination to seek a healthier mental state. But it was a step worth taking. Through reaching out, she learned an invaluable lesson. She learned that stress, while a part of life, doesn't have to consume it. That there are resources and people ready and willing to help. And most importantly, she discovered the strength within herself to face her struggles head-on. She realized that asking for help wasn't a sign of weakness, but a step towards strength. The journey to healing is often a journey of learning. As the girl embarked on her path to recovery, she discovered a variety of coping strategies that would help her manage her stress more effectively. Each strategy, though different in approach, offered a unique way of taming the beast that is stress, allowing her to regain control over her life. First, she was introduced to the concept of mindfulness. This practice encouraged her to stay present, to focus on the here and now rather than getting lost in the chaos of her thoughts. By taking a few moments each day to breathe, to observe her surroundings, and to simply be, she found herself less overwhelmed by her worries. The world, she found, was not as scary when she faced it one moment at a time. Exercise, she learned, was another potent weapon against stress. By engaging in physical activity, she was able to channel her nervous energy into something productive. Whether it was a brisk walk around the block or an intense workout session, she found solace in the rhythm of her movements, the steady beat of her heart reminding her that she was alive, strong, and capable. A balanced diet and adequate sleep also played crucial roles in her journey. She discovered that nourishing her body with healthy foods and ensuring she got enough rest were not just physical necessities, but emotional ones as well. A well-fed, well-rested body, she found, was better equipped to handle stress. Lastly, she learned the importance of time management. By organizing her tasks and allotting specific periods for work and relaxation, she was able to create a more balanced and less stressful routine. As she explored these strategies, she started seeing a shift in her perspective. Stress, she realized, did not have to be a constant looming shadow. Instead, it could be a challenge, a hurdle to overcome. And with each strategy she employed, she was not just coping with stress, but actively fighting it. She began to understand that she had the power to control her stress, not the other way around. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. These words echo in our minds as we navigate through the next phase of our story. Every day our protagonist wakes up to face the world, a new day brimming with its own unique set of challenges. The stress that once seemed like an overwhelming tsunami now appears more like a persistent drizzle. It's still there, it's still a part of her life, but she's equipped with a sturdy umbrella now. She's learned the art of resilience, of bouncing back, of not letting the rain dampen her spirits. It's not always easy. Some days the drizzle turns into a downpour. On these days the stress feels as heavy as it once did. She stumbles, she falls, but she remembers the tools she's gathered along her journey. She remembers to take deep breaths, to seek comfort in her support network, to remind herself that it's okay to not be okay all the time. Progress, after all, isn't linear. There are peaks and valleys, highs and lows. It's a roller coaster ride, not a serene boat ride on a calm lake. And that's perfectly fine. It's important to remember that it's the journey that shapes us, not just the destination. The struggles she faces, the stress she encounters, they all contribute to her growth, to her resilience, to her strength. And so, she continues to press forward, to face each day with courage and determination. There are moments of triumph, moments of joy, moments that remind her of how far she's come, moments that reinforce her belief in her strength, in her ability to overcome. She knew the journey wasn't over, but she also knew she was stronger than before. And with that strength, she holds the reins of her life firmly, ready to face whatever comes her way. Because she knows, deep down, that she's capable of weathering any storm.